If you burn a foreign flag in Japan, you could be prosecuted. But if you burn Japan's own flag, you can walk away, no questions asked. That gap has existed in Japanese law for decades. Article 92 of the Penal Code punishes damaging a foreign flag with intent to insult that country, but no equivalent article covers the Hinomaru, Japan's own flag. Legal scholars generally read Article 92's purpose as protecting Japan's diplomatic relations, not the honor of any flag itself, since it sits in the Penal Code's chapter on offenses related to foreign relations. Therefore, in July 2026, the lawmakers created Japan's first criminal offense specifically for desecrating the national flag. Japan is actually unusual among major democracies in not already having this kind of law. Although a bit outdated, a US Library of Congress survey of flag laws in 38 countries found Japan to be the only one that punishes desecration of a foreign flag while having no law at all for its own. So in this video, we will look at what other countries do, what this new bill actually contains, what counts as punishable and what does not, and why the bill has left both conservatives and liberals unsatisfied. And before we continue, this is Japan Yuntaku, and on this channel, we discuss Japanese politics using government documents, research papers, and news articles to understand what's actually being debated in Japan. What Japan wants may raise alarm among free speech supporters, but flag protection laws exist on the spectrum around the world, so let's take a look at what other countries permit and outlaw. For example, some countries criminalize flag desecration. Germany criminalizes insulting or damaging the national flag under Article 90A of its criminal code, with penalties of up to 3 years in prison. Both France and Italy punish flag desecration through their criminal codes as well. South Korea's situation is closest to Japan's before this bill was submitted. Its constitution does not mention the flag, but Article 105 of its criminal code punishes damaging the national flag or emblem with the intent to insult the state. That is the same subjective, intent-based standard that Japan's earlier draft attempted, and that its final bill later moved away from, something we'll come back to later in the video. Then there's the United States of America, the most cited counterexample in this debate. In the 1989 case Texas v. Johnson, the Supreme Court ruled that burning the American flag as a form of protest is protected political speech under the First Amendment, because the government cannot prohibit expression simply because society finds the idea so offensive. Countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia have no specific law against desecrating their own flag. As you can see, different democracies have different laws related to flag desecration. This is a context that Japanese lawmakers are working against, so with this context in place, here's what the new bill actually says. The Liberal Democratic Party, the Japan Innovation Party, the Democratic Party for the People, and the Sanseto jointly submitted the flag desecration bill. Some members of Team Mirai also voted in favor of the bill, and it passed the lower house on June 30th and the upper house on July 17. The bill's core provisions are short. Article 1 defines national flag as any tangible object that is generally recognized in society as being used as a flag specified under Japan's 1999 Act on the National Flag and Anthem. That definition matters because it excludes anything that's socially understood as the actual flag, a point we'll return to. Article 2 sets the penalty. Publicly damaging, removing, or dividing the flag in a way that would cause most people significant displeasure or hatred is punishable up to 2 years of imprisonment or a fine of up to 200,000 yen, the same penalty structure as Article 92 for foreign flags. A second clause specifies that whether an act meets that standard is judged from objective factors, meaning the outward form of the act and the surrounding circumstances, not the person's inner motive. Article 3 adds a safeguard. When applying the law, authorities must not infringe upon freedom of expression or other rights guaranteed under Japan's constitution. These supplementary provisions add one important detail. The government must review the law's operation around 3 years after it takes effect, specifically looking at how it interacted with online video and public display of damaged flags, and revise it if needed. One earlier provision did not survive to this final version. The LDP's original proposal would have also punished filming yourself damaging a flag and posting that footage to social media, but that clause was removed during negotiations with the other three parties over free expression concerns, and does not appear in the bill as submitted. With this legal text established, the next question is how it plays out in practice. To be punishable, an act must be public, meaning it can be perceived by an unspecified or large number of people, and it must be carried out in a way that would cause most people significant displeasure or hatred, judged by outward, objective circumstances rather than a person's stated motive. For example, live streaming yourself destroying a flag counts, since that is a public act happening in real time. However, filming yourself damaging a flag and then posting that footage afterwards is treated differently. News coverage of someone else's flag desecration, reposting content on social media, and depictions in creative works such as anime or film are also excluded from punishment. The definition of flag in Article 1 is crucial in this entire debate. Because it only covers objects socially recognized as serving as the actual national flag, items like a flag printed on a children's meal or one appearing as part of a painting fall outside of the definition. These distinctions were built specifically to answer criticisms from both directions, which brings us to the problem that remains. The bill tries to satisfy the concerns of both conservative and liberals, and in doing so, it has left both sides dissatisfied. Let's start with the conservatives. The politician most associated with this idea is Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, who submitted this bill to the Diet in 2012 while the LDP was in the opposition, only for it to lapse without a vote. That original 2012 bill required proving that a person acted with the purpose of insulting Japan, a standard that, as you can tell, is difficult to prove given how subjective intent is. The final joint bill does not use that standard. Article 2 judges an act by objective, outward circumstances, not whether prosecutors can prove intent to insult. This is a loss for lawmakers who wanted a law clearly aimed at people trying to insult the country. The removal of the after-the-fact social media posting clause narrows the bill further from the LDP's own original outline. The saving grace for conservatives is that the Hinomaru finally gets some maximum penalty as foreign flags under Article 92. Now let's take a look at the liberal side, though its first critic actually sits within the LDP itself. Former Foreign Minister Takeo Iwaya has argued publicly that respect for the flag should develop naturally rather than being compelled by punishment. He also shared his concern that this undermines freedom of expression. Human Rights Watch has argued that a flag desecration law is unlikely to meet the standards of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or ICCPR, which Japan has ratified, and points to Hong Kong as a cautionary example, where flag protection laws have been used to prosecute pro-democracy activists. Amnesty International Japan has called for the plan to be withdrawn entirely, arguing that political and symbolic expression, including criticism of the state, is protected under Article 19 of the ICCPR and under Article 21 of Japan's own constitution, and that a state should not use criminal punishment to compel respect or loyalty from its citizens. The Japan Communist Party has criticized the bill as reviving pre-war style monitoring of citizen thoughts, and has argued that ordinary property damage law, which already applies when a flag on public display is destroyed, makes a new criminal offense unnecessary. The bill's vagueness stands out even more once you compare how other countries draw the same line. France's flag law is written directly into its penal code. Article 433(5)(1) only applies during an event organized or regulated by public authorities, a specific checkable condition built into the statute itself. A follow-up decree in 2010 extended the law to public places, but even that version keeps a location and define act, destruction, damage, or degrading use written into the legal text itself. Japan's bill lacks this clarity. The only enforceable boundaries written into the statute are Article 1's definition of a flag, and Article 2's requirement that the act be public and objectively cause significant displeasure or hatred. The reassurances people have actually seen that a flag on a child's lunch plate or a flag drawn in an anime scene will not be prosecuted come entirely from the LDP's own explanatory releases, not from the bill itself. Those examples describe the current drafter's intent, but they carry no binding legal force on prosecutors, future governments, or courts. Until Japanese courts actually rule on real cases, the boundaries the public has been shown exist as political assurances, not enforceable protections. Critics on the left worry that the standard can be applied unevenly to protest and satire, while critics on the right feel the same standard is too weak to reliably punish acts meant as an insult. Given the disagreement the bill has already generated, from conservatives who feel it was watered down to rights groups who think Japan should not have this law, the debate is unlikely to end despite passing parliament. If anything, once the law takes effect, any prosecution can still face a constitutional challenge under Article 21's guarantee of freedom of expression. So what do you think? Should Japan criminalize desecrating its own flag, or should it be protected as freedom of expression? Let me know in the comments below. And this isn't the only bill being discussed in Japan right now. A potential emergency clause is also under discussion, which would significantly concentrate political power in the cabinet. I break down exactly what that proposal contains in my video on Japan's emergency powers, so check it out if you want to know how Japan might expand its power. Like the video if you learned something new, and subscribe to learn more about Japanese politics.